We're asking the cards what's really getting in the way of what you are creating for yourself. Because here's the thing, I don't believe it's that you don't believe in yourself enough. I just don't think that's the case with you. I think that you're doing the right things. I think you're saying the mantras. I think you're holding the vision. So we're asking, why isn't this thing showing up? Change your focus. Change your focus. Okay. So what I'm getting from this card is that sometimes when we have this big dream, this big goal, this big image, we end up taking big steps towards it, right? And then eventually we start to slow down because we get tired or we get burnt out. And on the other side of that, we could also end up taking very small steps towards this big goal, and then we get frustrated because it feels like we're not getting there fast enough. So what I'm hearing about when it comes to change your focus is about creating a sort of, I don't want to say a plan exactly, but it's more or less having the steps that you need based on the energy you have for that day or week, because there are some days where we have big energy, and then there's other days when we have small energy. And we all know the power of consistency. But do you really know the power of energy and acting in alignment with energy? So when you have the big energy, don't try to play it small, go big. When you have little energy, don't try to go big, go small, okay? And the focus here is knowing that regardless of whether your actions are big or small, you are succeeding because you are taking steps forward. So see, I knew this wasn't about self-worth. This isn't about you not thinking you can do something. It's more or less the process of getting there might just feel a little confusing. Yeah, so just change the way that you're going about it. All right, I feel like this is the next card that wants to come out. Take the lead. Love this for you. Who are you turning to when it comes to this project or this plan, this goal of yours? Are you taking the lead, or have you given the reins to somebody else? Sometimes we unintentionally give other people our power when we ask them. Card came out. We'll look at that in a bit. It'd be a surprise even to me. We unintentionally give people our power when we're asking them for advice. And there's nothing wrong with seeking information. There's nothing wrong with getting another person's opinion, because of course people outside of us might be able to see things clearer and better than we can. So it's a good move. But when you start believing someone else over your own intuition, your own ideas, and when someone gives you this nugget of wisdom for you to take and nibble on, and as you're nibbling on it, you're like, this doesn't feel good to my system. Something about this feels off, but you keep eating it anyway. Well, that's a good way to get sick, right? Because you already know that this advice that you've been given, regardless of how good it might be, does not sit well with you. It doesn't mean that it won't sit well with you later on. Doesn't mean you won't be able to digest it and implement it later on. But for now, it's a no-go. So that means you go inside and you ask yourself what the next move may need to be. And sometimes when we ask people for their opinion and for their insight, even just by contrast, we can know what to do. If they tell us to do one thing and we know that that doesn't feel right, that at least gives us something to play with, right? It gives us an idea. It gives us a starting point. So then we can start brainstorming. We can even do the exact opposite of what they told us to do, which granted, they may not like, but we were just asking for opinion. We didn't tell them that we were absolutely going to do this thing that they suggested we do. So either way, it can kickstart your creative process and allow you to think outside the box. Next card I have for you is Refusing to See. I think it came up in reverse. So what this tells me is that when it comes to things like manifestation and creating the life that you want, I do feel like there are way too many gaslighters in the spiritual community. And I used to fall for it. And yes, I used to teach it too. There is this belief that if you are not succeeding in the way that you want, that you have some type of block, that you're not doing things correctly. And let's back that up a little bit and remember that we're all human. And whenever we're going after a goal, it's usually something new. It's typically something we haven't done before. And if we have done it before, the circumstances around it may have changed, which still makes it a new challenge, a new path, a new way of being as we are moving towards this thing. So people might be telling you that you don't believe in yourself enough, you're not holding on to the goal, you have not yet become the person that you're meant to be, the person that can hold the space for whatever. No, we're not doing that. We're not falling for that. So this is coming up in reverse because you're not holding on to false beliefs. You are not lacking vision. You might be lacking discipline. You might be even maneuvering a health issue or some other crisis as you're moving forward towards this thing. So there's things outside of you that are not preventing you from what you want, but they're just creating some challenges along the way, right? Okay, because, let's be honest, life happens. I feel like this was the card that wanted to come out. All right. Darkest fears. Ooh, darkest fears. So I know that a lot of times when something like this comes up, people will say it's self-sabotage. And so now we have to have an actual conversation about that, because are you self-sabotaging? I don't think you are. But I do wonder if there is a part of you that is afraid of what you're going after. And I don't think that that's stopping you completely, but I know that for myself, when there have been different projects that I wanted to do, even on this platform, I sometimes stopped myself because I was like, if I say this, people might think I'm nuts, or I don't know if people are going to accept this message. So that did stop me, right? Because that was, I wouldn't say it's my darkest fear, but it was a fear. So that did stop me. So this is about asking yourself, are there any fears that you are allowing to control you? And notice he's got this like almost a crown of fears around his head, right? All these fears, and that's what he's focused on. So you might want to just pay attention to that, and that might be part of this change your focus right here. So if you're noticing that you have a lot of fears coming up, I don't even want to tell you those are blocks. Those are just things to work through. Pay attention to them, because your fear can actually be incredibly wise. There's a message in your fear, and start figuring out how you can change the focus on that. So for example, a certain fear might be, if I cook this chicken, I want to make sure I don't undercook it and get my family sick. That is a good fear to have. But if it prevents me from cooking and feeding my family, that's a problem. Okay, so then the focus becomes, well, let's find a solution to that, which is get a thermometer for your chicken, and that way you can check the temperature, right? So it's changing your focus so you can be more solution oriented. All right, I want to pull one more card for you, and we have move, take action. But what I'm really noticing is these are two hands that have been fastened together. Are you moving forward in this with your soul tribe? Have you found a good, reliable friend that isn't there to give you advice, that's just there to give you moral support? I think that could be part of what you're missing. Yeah. So if you would like a personal reading with me, visit my website at guidingechoes.com. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.